about it and just kind of pray about where I've been in the last couple of months and what's my purpose? What is all of this for? So everybody knows that when you are living in a level of mindfulness, you never look at a situation in terms of, or at least you try to always look at a situation in terms of, hey, what's my place in this situation? What's the learnings that I'm supposed to get? How have I contributed to this situation? And then taking that, all of that knowledge and being able to build a manifestation of yourself for where you want to go. And I still see this show with possibilities of grandeur and touring and, merch and just really being able to get out there and meet and speak to all of you. But I wanted to let you know and speak specifically to people who have, I know we talked about this earlier in the year when we were going to really set ourselves towards some goals, and we talked about the differences between dreams and goals. Goals are basically dreams with a timeline. Anybody can have a dream, but a goal is a dream with a timeline, which kind of makes things real. But what happens when you set a timeline for yourself and the world does not manifest that for you? That's not what God has for you. And if that's not what you believe, just the world has not manifested your timeline. What happens, And I wanted to impart on you the idea that, everything happens in God's divine time. And if your dream doesn't really make you quiver, if there isn't so much passion in your dream that there are tears that are shed for it, if your dream doesn't give you anxiety, if your dream doesn't make you feel like the world can open up possibilities to you which are endless, if your dream isn't so big that it almost seems impossible, perhaps you should revisit your dream. Before you even put a timeline to it, perhaps you should revisit it. And please don't mistake things that you need to do in your life for actual dreams, I really, in the thought process of, this didn't work out for me, I quit, thought to myself, now listen, girl, if you are really going to quit because this one thing that you attempted didn't work out, perhaps this is not really your goal in the first place. Maybe you need to chin check yourself. What are you in it for? And I really had to have a come to Jesus moment with myself in terms of what are you in it for? And so I don't know who this is for. Listen, I have spent the last year and if you have never truly been as an adult, if you haven't truly been through a situation where you had to borrow from someone else's life in order to help make your life whole, you really don't really understand struggle. Now, what I mean by that is and it could be anything. It could be the loss of a job, the loss of a marriage, the loss of a child, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship. If your life as an adult hasn't had some obstacle of a moment, where you haven't had your Goliath, this thing that you had to, borrow from someone else's life in order to make your life whole, you really don't understand the struggle. And I think a lot of, the way that we interpret success and the way that we understand independence sometimes can really be marred by idealism. I think a lot of us talk a good game, the whole idea of mindfulness is also community. And the whole idea of community is that community is built on the prospect of you borrowing from each other's lives in order to build a better one. So sometimes God puts you in a situation where you got to depend on your community. Whoever that is, whatever it is, you know? And sometimes when things don't happen in our direct timeline and we have to depend on the community to help us kind of make whole, sometimes that's the only way that we come to realize whether or not we truly are involved in a community. When, it's put to the test. Because relationships are really fantastic when everyone is falling in line and behaving exactly the way that we expect them to, or they expect us to. But when life throws you a curveball and you're like, shit, my life is not exactly what I expect it to be at this very moment, I'm going to need my community to show up for me however they can. It is imperative that you know whether or not this is the community that you should be involved in even. Are they showing up for you the way you need them to? Are you showing up for them? I truly believe that it is through our obstacles that we are, through the adversity and through the obstacle, that's kind of the provoking, if you will, for possibility. So I applaud all of you guys that are living in your comfortable place, because comfortability doesn't breed possibility. Comfortability has no provocation in it. Comfortability doesn't provoke you to be great. Comfortability provokes you to be mediocre. So for all of you that are looking at your obstacles and your adversity as provocation for you being let down by God or being let down by your own circumstances or what have you, just know that being in a comfortable place, riding the 50-yard line, so to speak, it may look like from the outside, like, yeah, look at these people living in their comfort. God sees it for them more. But I am here to tell you that nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be See, that's the whole idea of no weapon formed against you shall prosper. It doesn't say that there won't be any weapons formed against you. It just says that the ones that come up against you just won't win. There's no verse for all of y'all who are riding it safe, who have nothing going on and everything's working out for y'all. That's what's up. There's no verse like that. The greatest people have gone through some of the most adversarial circumstances. And those adversarial circumstances are oftentimes what is necessary to provoke possibility. So if you are in a season of nothing is working out and I am tired of kind of borrowing from life, I really implore you to look at yourself, look at the way that you're thinking or not thinking even. Look at your level of mindfulness. Look at the people that you've surrounded yourself with. Who's your community? Your community should not only be there to support you, but they should be there to challenge you. And hopefully there's someone you can look at who's in a better place than you. And with your mindfulness, know that if God is blessing them and he's in your neighbor's yard, that means he's in the neighborhood. I don't think that there is any one of us who can't say that, oftentimes the mental journey of it all doesn't get in the way. It definitely does. Like I said previously, the biggest obstacles that I've ever fought are not the ones on the outside of me. It's always been the ones on the inside. It's always been the one, my own self-fulfilling prophecy. So your community should also enlist others who are going to speak life to a situation and not death, who are going to encourage you to keep on the bright side. Part of your own mental mindfulness is accountability for the energy in which you surround yourself with, and also the energy that you put forth. So, again, I just want to encourage you to keep your eye on the prize. The goal is still there. It's still attainable, even if it seems as though it is not plausible. That your current circumstances don't make it plausible for you to start that business, for you to be in that relationship, for you to buy that house, for you to get that job, for you to, start designing those clothes, for you to start that website. Though your current situation may have you feeling like this is just not plausible now, there is nothing that provokes possibility more than it just not even being plausible. So I want to leave you guys with that this week. We will be back later this week with an all new episode. And we are going to definitely explore the topic of patriarchal ideas and misogyny, because I definitely believe that that's something that we've got to talk about. And I'd love to hear you guys' ideas. Shout out to Nola of Nola and Knight, for linking me on that article. And, if you guys have any comments, questions, reviews, don't be afraid to DM me or email me. And, thank you guys for listening. Peace.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.